football is not just a sport. No wonder he chose to venture into administration and also chose to invest heavily in women's football by establishing a football club and fostering the growth of football in Nigeria. Welcome to Sports Cruise, Chief Dr. Paul Edeh Esquire. Welcome to Sports Cruise, sir.
Thank you for having me. Finally.
Finally, we have you on our screen. Good to have you. Well, your passion for football is something that's rare in Nigeria at the moment, in a time where everyone is clamoring for football administrators that have passion for the game, that loves the beautiful game, to come on board and pilot the affairs of Nigeria. Why did you choose football? You could have ventured into other sports, but your passion for football, why? Why football?
Well, first, I reckon it's because I never got to play. I recall I used to be a goalkeeper in primary school, but I had a very major fracture. And I had a lot of passion for the game because of my bow legs. A lot of people thought I would go very far, but of course, one of those times when we had inter-school match way back, I had that injury on my legs and I couldn't play. And in order not to allow that dream dwindle, as I rose through the ranks, I saw an opportunity to give back to the younger ones who chose to venture into that field. And I continued to organize local football tournaments way back, and particularly when I lost my parents, I started the Idoma Unity Cup in Benue Zone C in order to foster unity amongst the young lads within that vicinity. And I expanded it by, of course, organizing the Benue State FA League. I sponsored that league for like 3 to 4 times. And subsequently, I decided that the road that is less traveled in the sports of football, I should venture into. And of course, women's football was at its prime within the context of Nigeria. And I also realized that women's football in Benue was actually dwindling. The only female team that we had thriving in Benue had also gone underground, that is the Invincible Angels, because the owner could no longer fund the team. And I took the liberty of also looking at the possibility of harnessing the young talents that we had within Benue. So therefore, I decided to venture into women's football. And as time went by, because of the passion I exhibited in the course of football administration and giving dispassionately, I was approached to contest for the chairman of the Benue State Football Association. But of course, all this spans over 2 decades coming. And I'm glad that I'm here today sitting with you on Sports Cruise to share my story.
Well, you just mentioned you contesting for FA chairman of Benue State Football. Well, how is life as FA chairman, and how are you sojourning on?
Well, I would say that my ascension to the role of chairman of the FA is indeed unprecedented. I don't think there is any FA chairman in the history of Benue who has contested an election that all the Congress members of the state voted for overwhelmingly as they did for me. I recall 2 years back when the election held, my opponent, who was also a very strong contender, got 1 vote while I got 28 votes from the Congress members. And that's to tell you that people tend to watch what you contribute in society. And it was coming from the heel of the issue of steering football away from tribalism, from religious bigotry, and all those mundane things you find in politics. We never found that in the FA. And the journey thus far has been very, very immense because of the cooperation we have gotten from both the local FA. And when I came on board, I set up a clear vision for the Benue FA that I would want to run an FA that is inclined towards building a football family or ecosystem that is associated with integrity, associated with grassroots sport development, and of course to build a self-sustaining FA where we would not have to rely on government patronage to be able to run the game. And this actually helped us to begin to look inward to develop the game at our own level and to build it organically. And for the past 2 years that we've been on board as board members of the FA, someone attested to the fact that what we have been able to achieve within 2 years is as though all the years of the existence of the FA were compressed and we have outdone what
in just 2 years.
In just 2 years. And the secret for me is because when I came on board, one of the things I realized is that I saw a docile local council FAs where the chairmen were not eager to do anything. We're only relying on the little funds that they get from competitions and all that. So I decided to empower them and build a pyramid-styled FA where the structure is such that the base, which is the affiliate members, and the board standing at the tip. So all the strengths that we have as a board were on the local FA and the affiliate membership. So we just stand there and give instructions and support the local FAs and ensure that all the tournaments we organized, we routed them through the local FAs down to the top of the pyramid. And that has worked for us because, like I said, the vision I had was to see how to build a self-sustaining FA that is anchored on grassroots football, which is also in alliance with what FIFA has emphasized, with what CAF has consistently emphasized, with what WAFU has emphasized, and ultimately with what the Nigerian Football Federation has continued to emphasize, particularly drawing from the vision of the NFF president, Alhaji Ibrahim Gusso.
What are some of those initiatives or programs under 2 years that you've been able to accomplish?
The first initiative is to see how we emphasized on local coaches training. We had predominantly, when I came on board, coaches that we term cochitos. Cochitos are those who have interest in football, who have played football in their lifetime, who have achieved and accomplished feats within the local terrain that took up coaching as a trade, but without any formal training. We discovered when we took inventory or took the data of all the coaches we have, we had about three to four coaches who have attained the CAF B in the entire state. We have about less than 5 coaches that had CAF C. We have less than 10 coaches that had the basic NIS certification. So what we did was to first strengthen the Coaches Association and encourage the coaches to go for the basic NIS, which is the minimum requirement baseline for coaching in Nigeria. And how did we arrive at this? The tournaments that we organized through my foundation, the Rattle Sports Development Foundation, particularly the FA League, which we rechristened in order to honor my predecessor. We rechristened it to Right Honorable Chief Margaret Ichen FA League. For the winners, the first, second, third, fourth places, we ensured we give all of them scholarship to NIS, fully funded by the FA. We also continue in that trajectory where we have a situation where the last batch of coaches that benefited from that scholarship were about 10. This year, we're looking at doing about 20 to 25, all fully funded by the FA. And that has seen a boost in grassroots football development, particularly with the local coaches that have benefited from this program. We also sent some other local coaches to different coaches training, including the cross-cultures training coaches. The first segment was the one I held in Abuja. We had about 10 coaches from Benue. The next was about 16 coaches. The last one I held is about 12 coaches that attended. So we have had a boost, tremendous boost in expanding the coaching vista in Benue State, because you can't ask someone to be a university lecturer without first attending the 4 walls of the university to obtain their first degree, then talk about the second and the third degree. So these we emphasized heavily. Then secondly, we also expanded the vista of tournaments. We encourage selfless individuals who are willing to dispassionately organize football tournaments to do so freely. Once they follow the laid down rules by applying to the FA, we vet to ensure that they are not trying or attempting to exploit the young lads. We encourage that, and we had all across the state competitions happening. The other thing we also encourage is for the local FA chairmen to also organize their own tournament. And this we did, we opened up another vista of opportunity for them to be awarded the best FA chairman at the local level. The first award held in January this year. Earlier this year when we held award night and finals for the Governor's Cup. And we saw several local FA chairmen competing for that position by virtue of organizing these local tournaments. Then again, I also introduced the FA Chairman's Cup, where the cash prize for the winner for the last season was ₦1 million. The second place, $500,000. The third place, 300,000. Then the fourth place, 200,000. And of course, they were fully paid. And this has encouraged a robust local grassroots participation in football administration generally in Benue State. Then finally, after almost 8 years of going down the drain, we reintroduced the Benue State Governor's Cup, which held last year, and we played the finals in January this year. And that also has boosted the participation of the local government areas, including the local government chairman who funded the tournament. And of course, the state government also funded the tournament. That actually gave us a large vista. And more so, we also had immense support from the Nigerian Football Federation. Since we came on board, the NFF president has visited Benue for an upward of about 3 times within this period. And it is rare to find the NFF president visit. In fact, we were the first he visited when we visited him first. We were the first FA board to visit any NFF president from inception till the time we came on board. Then the NFF president also paid his first official visit to Benue and has been coming since then. And this has boosted the expansion of the football ecosystem in Benue State.
You've done quite a lot, and I like the part you said that the competition you organized, that's the Governor's Cup, those who won, they were fully paid. That's important because in a country where we are...
No, for the FA Chairman's Cup.
For the FA Chairman's Cup.
Yes.
But I like the fact that you said they were fully paid of their winning their prizes. Let's talk about football, the clubs in Benue. Lobi Stars used to be, in fact, it still is one of the biggest clubs in Nigeria, regardless of their relegation after 27 years. And also we have another big team in Benue Queens. What happened to Lobi Stars? And many people are asking questions. It wasn't the best of season last season at the NPFL.
Well, football happens to Lobi Stars last season. Everybody always attempts to want the best results. But you see, the bad results are also part of the best results. Sometimes a seed has to die, go to the ground and germinate again. And for a seed that has been in the NPFL for an upward of about 27 years before going on relegation this time, you know that it is time to rebuild and rebuild and rebuild. The emphasis is on Lobi Stars, not minding that three other clubs relegated along with Lobi Stars. But Lobi Stars became the highlight because we have been in that league for about 27 years. And it's not far-fetched. We had a situation where the team had to transcend to play their home matches away from home. They played first in Nasarawa, moved from Nasarawa to Bauchi. From Bauchi, they now moved.
I think they played in Enugu.
Then
the Cathedral.
They ended up in Enugu. And that's because His Excellency, the Executive Governor, had awarded the contract for the Aparaku Stadium, which was supposed to have been concluded in the course of the mid-season. But something went wrong somewhere, and it is still the way it is. His Excellency also took the liberty of awarding the contract for the Makati Stadium. It has gone to a considerable level, but they couldn't use it because it had not been concluded before the league season ended. And other teething challenges with players' apathy, with the coaching crew, and of course, you can tell that other states' owned club and privately owned club also jostled for the top position. Indeed, I must confess that this relegation was not something that we desired or deserved, but it happened for a reason. And like His Excellency said very recently, it is time to build back the team so that we can build a team organically like it's been done. And I'm sure you're aware that Coach Bala was recently appointed by the board of Lobi Stars. And we're hoping that with the new crop of players that are coming on board and the resilience they are showing, currently the training in the Makati Stadium where they're playing tough is top-notch. The other environment is being worked upon by the grace of God before the takeoff of the NNL, which they are currently participating, would have been done, and hopefully we'll also host one of the segments of the NNL at the Makati Stadium. And if the Aparaku Stadium is also concluded, it boosts the team for us. Then for Benue Queens.
Yeah.
You recall that I had started Niger Rattles in 2019. And the team was so much because we had a lot of Benue girls, about more than 100 in that team. So what I decided to do was to split the team into two. one Honey Badgers, the other Nigeria Test. I brought Nigeria Test to Abuja so they can concentrate while Honey Badgers was in Makodi. And thankfully, they promoted from the nationwide league to the championship. And from championship, just last year, they qualified for the Premier League.
Nigeria Women's Football.
Yes, and of course, you know that no individual can own two clubs in the same league. So I decided to give that club to the promoters of Benue Queens as an independent team. And of course, they didn't have to pay anything for that purpose, because a lot of people also came out to buy the slot, but I wanted a situation where the club can grow in Benue and Benue will participate effectively in the league. Though they didn't do so well, because most of the players that we got were those we discovered in the course of the Governors' Cup. They were really amateur players who were brought together, and they did their best in the latter part of that league. And we're hoping that in the new league season, with a crop of new players being recruited, they will not do badly.
Your assessment about Nigerian Premier Football League, some are not happy, some are happy, but are we progressing in terms of football in Nigerian Premier Football League?
Yes, I think that the Nigerian Premier Football League, under the leadership of Otumba, Right Honorable Gbenga Elegbeleye, has done tremendously well. You know, we live in a climate where we hardly take stock of where we are coming from and where we are today. We think that it is easy to build an El Dorado in one day. It is not possible. It takes time. It takes time of nurturing. You recall that the board under Right Honorable Otumba Gbenga Elegbeleye came into focus less than 3 years ago. And I cannot judge that the league has done far better than where it was coming from. First, we had a situation where referees' indemnities were not paid promptly. We had a situation where most of the clubs that are in the NPFL are the ones that fund the hotel accommodation for the referees. We had a situation where, in most cases, the league hardly starts on time. But since he came on board, referees' indemnities, particularly the backlog, were cleared. The status quo was no longer the same. The league always commenced right on time. And the status of officiating became even far better, even though you still find those gimmicks. But you can tell that under Otumba Right Honorable Gbenga Elegbeleye, more referees were suspended from the league for compromising the standard of the game. This you would not find in the past. And I think also it is because of the kind of leadership that the NFF president has provided, in that he has always insisted on the integrity of the game. Then the other thing that the NPFL and of course particularly the NFF has done via the referees NRA, Referees Association, is to imbibe the culture of raising young talents to officiate. You can tell that in the last league, a lot of referees who were under 20 were brought into the fold to officiate matches, and they did tremendously well. So in spite of the gimmicks that you see that some clubs tend to play, the level and the status of the league has been elevated. And I think that one thing that we must appreciate as a nation, as a people, is that once you have the right set of leaders administering football or even leading in any vista across any climb, it tends to be better. And that is what we have found. And for me, I believe that if this particular board stays for the next 2 seasons, and by the grace of God, they have been reappointed, the league would be far better. And you can see the recent statement that was released by the NPFL that any player that is caught to be complacent participating in betting will be sanctioned. And this is because of the report that the NPFL has got in the last season, found a situation where players would bet and compromise matches. And that tend to bring down the standard of the game. And they have also taken steps to curb that. So I believe that the NPFL, under the watch of Otumba, Right Honorable Bende Elegbeleye, has done extremely well, and they deserve some level of accolades. It is not yet Uhuru, but I believe that as we tend to climb the ladder of time, they will showcase the much they've gotten.
And then hopefully we'll get to see our leagues on our TVs inside our living rooms, because that's what a lot of people are clamoring for, that we hardly watch our leagues on our TVs. And then recently, I think Star Times pulled out from airing our football league. Let's go to Chan. Let's go to Dar es Salaam, where our Chan Eagles, well, it wasn't the best of performances under Eric Shaw. Some of the opinion, in fact, that he was not supposed to be there. Did we go with our best leg to Chan?
Well, I believe that the best leg is dependent on who the coaches select as being the best legs. Unfortunately, the NFF has no hand in the team selection. It is only the coaches, the technical advisor, the coaches crew that have that mandate to be able to select. I believe that we had a very abysmal performance, a very disappointing one, particularly with the match against Sudan. That everybody expected that we were going to triumph in order to boost our chances to qualify for the next stage. But this was not the case. We suffered a hopeless 4-0 defeat against Sudan. And that became the highlight of that tournament. It called to question the level of players that we have in our league. And I can assure you that we have very good players within our leagues that could have done better. I don't know what went wrong. Perhaps the players did not understand the style of the coach. Of course, you know that the pattern that they have always been used to is the one that revolves around our local coaches. I would have believed that the local coaches would have been given the opportunity to lead the charge so that he can watch from the sideline. And I say this from the background of the recent triumph of the Lobi Stars youth under-19 team that participated in the NPFL under-19 tournament, the playoff. The team, initially, the report we got from the FA was that the Lobi Stars wanted their coaching crew to lead the under-19. But the FA advised that since we had local coaches who were handling these boys and selected them, they should allow them go. And of course, the state, the Benue State chairman of the coach in charge of technical in Benue, Coach Wagbo, was given the opportunity, since he has been with these local teams from the start, to lead the team. And
so he understands the players.
He understands the players. And when they went, they topped their group.
But Eric Shea had the Daniel Ogumode and
But Daniel Ogumode was not in charge of the team. He was not the one who had the final say.
70% of his players were in that team from Raymond Stars.
You can tell that you can have about 20 teams in the NPFL and you have predominantly one particular club bringing all the players. I think that's even where we got it wrong. Would have gotten the best of the best from the other teams, because a fusion of these players would have tended to give us the very best. But of course, yet again, I think the outcome is what has justified the fact that a lot of errors were done in that regard. And I'm sure it's a huge lesson for us moving to the next phase.
You've spoken highly, glowingly, in fact, to high heavens of the NFF president, Alhaji Ibrahim Musa Gusau. How would you assess his leadership as NFF president, of course?
You see, leadership globally is a style. There are those leaders whose style is to speak to high heavens, dignify and glorify their achievements. There are such leaders that you hardly or rarely hear them in public space. But when you come close, you will see that they have achieved even far more than many leaders or their predecessors. And Ibrahim Musa Gusau is one of such leaders. And I can give you series of accounts.
Please do.
First and foremost, his leadership was anchored on grassroots football development. And this he has tried to encourage local clubs to thrive. And you would also realize that once upon a time, most of the leagues could not pay referees indemnities. We had a lot of backlogs. It was he who insisted that all backlog of such referees indemnities be paid. He is also the one who has insisted that any referee that is caught compromising should be sanctioned. And that's why you see that in most cases it takes about 48 hours for the referees committee to sit on any matter and sanction referees. And of course also encourage referees. It was under his watch that we began to see the rise of young stars being fused into officiating. Under his watch also, he has tended to defer to a lot to the committees, he said, particularly with the technical committees. The appointment of coaches, he hardly gets involved. He allows the professionals to do what they ought to do. He doesn't lead by his whims and caprices. And like I said earlier, he is one president who has supported the FAs and affiliates of the NFF tremendously, which you have seen that in the past you'll find docile FA chairmen. Recently, we just concluded the Gusau Island preseason tournament, which was widely publicized and attended. This he has encouraged in order to ensure that there's a boost in the effective participation of clubs in the various leagues. He has also supported the teams immensely, particularly the Super Falcons. He saw that the project Mission X was achieved under his watch. And yeah, we have had teething challenges with the Super Eagles, but the fusion of the new national team coach and his coaching crew, I believe that in their last outing they didn't do badly, and we're hoping that as we get back to the playing turf in a few weeks' time, we'll be able to see those teething challenges resolved. And for me, I'm very optimistic. I have this eternal hope that in football you never give up, and you saw that clearly with the finals between the Super Falcons and the Moroccan national team, that the girls came from 2-0 down and won by 3-2, thereby achieving the Mission X.
Well, you made mention of Super Eagles. Are we hopeful of making it to the World Cup? Because we can't afford to miss out this time around.
You see,
Moving.
football is a game of hope. While you're coming on board with the hope of winning, your opponents are also coming on board with the hope of winning. And like I said, our chances are very slim, but we are optimistic because it is not yet as bad as we tend to think it is. I believe that we will do very well if all things goes well, because our chances are also that we win all our matches and hope that the top contenders also lose their matches. And if it goes that way, we're sure of qualifying. But away from that, if we do not qualify, I think we should still keep hope and reinvigorate our national team and go back to the drawing board to see where we have missed it and see where we can get it right back. Just like the case of Lobi Stars that I told you, there's room for rebuilding. Even if we do not qualify for the World Cup, which I am hopeful we will, let us not lose or give up easily. There are nations that have not played the World Cup before. There are some nations that have played only once, but the Super Eagles have played back-to-back before the last World Cup qualifiers that we didn't do so well, and Ghana went. This year again, I'm very optimistic and hopeful that all will work in our favor.
We focused mainly on your part as an administrator and also a part of Nigerian football. Now, let's go to, as an investor you are. You didn't just choose to, step in as an administrator, but then you chose to focus on women's football. Why did you choose women's football? Not so many people ventures into women's football in Nigeria.
Well, let me reiterate that I chose women's football because it is a road that is less traveled. I didn't foray into football investment for what I will make out of it, but for the impact I will make in it. I started Nigeria Tels in the year 2019. We have invested a fortune in the team before I had to resign my appointment and allow others to run it, because as FA chairman, I cannot be in the board of any of the football clubs. And I relinquished my position as president to someone else, and of course the chairman to someone else as well. So in view of my pursuit for this quest, I have gained a lot of traction. Today I'm here talking with you because of that decision I made. I have also seen the rise of many young stars through my effort. I have several players that are playing across Europe today. For me, what is even key and crucial is the fact that these young lads are able to give back to their families. Ultimately, my first team captain is now in Spain. Agama, the highest goal scorer in the 2024 President's Federation Cup, is also in Spain. I have Adugbe in Spain, Monturayo Ezekiel in Spain, Blessing in Europe. All these players, I think Monturayo and they are all in Europe actually, in different parts of Europe. When I hear how they score goals, how they defend, how they play well, it gives me joy and excitement. It is not about how much I will make from the team, because if you want to make money, you don't go into women's football. You see that a lot of women's football have gone haywire, including 19 is it 99ers, and several other clubs like that have gone down the drain because of lack of sponsorship.
How have you been able to, maneuver the waters of sponsorship? Because, like you mentioned, it's very expensive. And then you look at across NPFL or other clubs in Nigeria, mostly funded by government, that government owned. Remo Stars, of course, privately owned, just won the NPFL. But for women's football, how have you been able to,
Let me start with your mention of Remo Stars.
Yeah.
The owner of Remo Stars is also the owner of Bet Niger.
True.
The owner of Remo Stars is also the owner of Value Jet.
Yes.
He's also a key player in the banking industry. He's also the chairman of Premium Trust Bank.
True.
He has several investments of that sort. So he ultimately has a second address. But you see that most clubs that are privately owned, their owners, those that are doing well and are still in focus, they have a second address. They have people who come together to fund them. And for me, I would also attest to the fact that it's because I also have a second address. Otherwise, where would one get such funding that you'll be spending monies in billions in a club that has not yet started gaining the kind of traction? It takes someone with resilience, commitment, and faith in what they're doing to be able to continue in funding. And that's why I give a lot of credit for the private-owned clubs, female clubs particularly.
Female clubs, yeah.
Someone I would also want to commend tremendously is the owner of FC Robo, Osahon. Then we have Danas Ladies, which is owned by Danas. Then we also have, of course, Niger Rattles. Then Benue Queens that is privately owned, and several other privately owned clubs. And I think I want to doff my hat particularly for the local-based coaches who are not anywhere in the mainstream, but they are the ones that have continued to feed the various teams that are participating in the league. And I think without them, the Women's League would have been dead. Because every player you see today, and kudos also goes to the Lagos State FA and the Lagos State local coaches that are indeed churning out young girls, particularly the Southwest. They've done tremendously well. The Southeast have also done tremendously well. Then, of course, you come to the Niger Delta area. In Delta, in Edo, in Bayelsa, in Rivers, they have done tremendously well too in churning out these local players. Then when you come to the Middle Belt, you look at places like Benue, that is currently participating, and of course Kogi, with the advent of Conference Queens. Then you come to the FCT. The FCT FA has also played a very pivotal role in upping the women's game in the FCT with Niger Rattles and other local-based teams or academies that continue to churn out women's football. So on the whole, I think that credence should be given to the local coaches, those who are the unsung heroes and sponsors who are not giving the needed traction or the funding, but yet they have kept faith that someday these girls will emerge and they will wear crowns. And by wearing crowns, that crown would ultimately extend to them.
How do we move women football forward in Nigeria to be at the same level with the NPFL? Because the gap between NPFL and the women's league in Nigeria is so huge that I don't know how we'll achieve that.
Number one is funding. Number two is funding. Number three is funding. I take cue from Morocco. The Moroccan government, I think in the last year, the information I received is that they invested about $80 million. He injected about $80 million through the federation to fund women's football.
Both on infrastructure and develop everything.
All encompassing. Particularly that they fund the various clubs participating in their leagues. There's a direct intervention where the various clubs gain some level of funding and they fund their teams. This has encouraged a lot of young lads in that climb to be able to participate. And you see that because of that kind of funding, the Moroccan team has been to the finals of the WAFCON not once. They have hosted the WAFCON not once. They have hosted numerous tournaments across Africa because of the deliberate investment. I also believe that if we must move women's football forward, a Nigerian government, particularly the federal government, should fund the league. Because if you don't take or make that deliberate funding, particularly from the National Sports Commission, you will discover that most of the clubs will go down the drain. And if we don't continue in what we have today, and I give kudos to Madam Nkechi before her exit, she increased the quota to 20 clubs in the Women's League. We currently have 16. When she came on board, it was 14. She increased to 16. And in the last season, it was agreed that 4 teams were going to promote from the championship to the Women's League, making the number 20. And I believe that's how to grow, because we have a growing large number of clubs who want to earnestly participate, but because of the restriction in the number, we have a situation where most of the clubs are unable to participate because of that lean number. And I think that this directly answers your question: how do we grow the league like we have in NPFL today? So NPFL has 20, the Women's League by the beginning of the 2025-2026 season will also go to 20. The other thing that needs also to be done, predominantly we have state-owned clubs in the NPFL. And the states are using taxpayers
to fund it. That's where the problem is.
But we have a lot of teams, women's team, privately owned. And I can give you some names. We have Niger Rattles, we have Benue Queens, we have Remo Stars ladies, we have Danas ladies, we have the likes of FC Robo. There were 5 teams that I can mention now that are in that category. But the others are state-owned. So you consider an entire state funding a team, and the bad news is that it is the same amount the state-owned team that are using taxpayers' funds to pay that the privately owned clubs are going to use. Because as you travel from here to Lagos
for a match,
FC Robo also travels from Lagos to Abuja. You travel to Adamawa, FC Robos travel to Adamawa, Danas travels to Delta, and they fund their teams from their private pockets.
And at the end of the day, how much is there to be won as champions?
The prize money is even very lean. The last prize money that was won, I think, was it 10 or 20 million? While in the NPFL, they are getting about 200 million. I think it has been increased to 200 million now. And if you don't have that kind of sponsorship, I tell you, it will keep going down the drain. And for some, I know some privately owned clubs that have decided that after this season, they may not fund their clubs again because of paucity of funds. So I think we need to be deliberate. Even if the federal government, through the National Sports Commission, is not funding, they should get sponsors from the conglomerates that we have on ground in Nigeria to do CSR.
Even to an extent, lack of investments, lack in women's football. We don't have a viable league. But then, like the saying goes, what a man can do, a woman still can't do it better, can't do more than the men. And it was evident in the last WAFCON, where our Super Falcons, Mission X, accomplished, and also the showers of blessing from the president. Well, good things are happening in women's football.
Yes, good things are happening in women's football, but I'm yet to see how the women are even taking up roles in their own game. And I give you a very typical example. All the clubs that are in private clubs that are in the league today, Premiership, are owned by men. Nigeria tells is owned by a man, right? Dana's Lady is owned by a man. FC Robo is by a man. We also have Remo Stars owned by a man. So you find men contributing more to women's football. Who is coaching the women's team? A man. So I think the women should come all out to take their roles. Yes, back to your question. The girls made us proud. But I believe that the men made us even prouder, because the kind of cash that the president doled out to this girl is mouth-watering. It got Nigerians talking. It got, for those of us in this country, we know how to position ourselves to play the role of the one who should advise on what should be done with the level of funds that we have as a nation. But I think that the cash reward given by the president is a worthy one. It is a celebration of the Mission 10 accomplishment. It's a celebration of the fact that coming from the heels of 2 goals down, whereupon they gave the president sleepless night, whereupon they had to even make him go hungry because the first lady refused to cook for the president. Finding that kind of situation, I believe that the president was fully elated that these girls could brighten the hearts of not just Nigerians, but Africans and people world over. And, when you also want to reward, you look at the cost or the vista or the quantum of contribution that has been made. We're not talking about winning in Nigerian tournament. We're looking at winning and becoming the best in Africa. Not just that. Out of 13 of the tournament, WAFCON, they won 10. I think that is a feat that is deserving of the kind of reward he got. And we also do not need to look at football from the prism of our local Nigerian parlance. Some of these girls earn far more than $100,000 in a month. When you put together their match bonuses and all that, and you come down and give them $10,000, it will make that kind of impact. If the president had given $10,000, I'm sure he would have been insulted. But you see, we are in a country that there's freedom of speech, and everybody is entitled to their own opinion. But I am one of those, because I have seen what these girls have been able to achieve, being a key player in women's football. I think the joy and happiness they gave us is one that deserves this kind of reward. And my biggest appeal also would be that it does not turn into audio money. Because in the past, our national teams have made us proud, and it took years before we were able to fulfill these promises. I believe with the pronouncement by the president, the National Sports Commission, working in conjunction with the NFF, should be able to pull their resources together and give to these girls as quickly as possible, so that it will encourage the other girls that are coming up. You know, Flamingos are participating in the World Cup.
Yes.
We also have the qualifiers by the Falconets coming up. It will boost their morale if this reward is given to them, at least the cash money. The OON has been given to them already. The cash money is yet to be given.
The flats.
The flats. I think construction takes time. That may not come up till the next 1 to 2 years. But I know the FCT minister, who is very active, would ensure that that promise is fulfilled. But the cash reward needs to be paid immediately.
Finally, Ratters Foundation. What led to the formation of Ratters Foundation?
At a point, I saw myself giving back through Niger Rattles. And for any worthy investment to thrive, there's need to separate the charity angle of that investment from the business angle. So this led, I started by organizing the preseason tournament, which started as Niger Rattles preseason tournament, with the first edition holding in Benue. And that was organized under Niger Rattles. And for me, I looked at other climes, how clubs are able to give back seamlessly without necessarily having the impact of funding such endeavors from their clubs. So I saw that the model that even FIFA has, FIFA Foundation, we have UEFA Foundation, we have Cross Cultures Foundation. So I decided also that the team should also have a foundation. And that's why we registered the Rattles Sports Development Foundation, which has continued to pioneer the Shiro's Cup, which this season will make it its ninth edition. We have been able to do that year in, year out to support the Women's League to thrive. And I believe that the preseason tournament has grown to be, adjudged to be, the biggest preseason tournament in Africa, because that's the only preseason tournament that has seen the invitation of local-based players, teams. We have seen teams from grassroots teams, from the championship teams, from premiership teams, even from across Africa participating. And we've done that seamlessly with the level of donations we have made. For every season we have had participation. We have given brand new jerseys free of charge, given balls, we have given prize money in the past. But in order not to also make it look like we are warring instead of jaw-jawing, we decided to take that element of cash award out of it. And that's why you see that for the past 3 editions we have hosted without cash award, it has brought out the best of the best. In the last edition, we had Lobi Stars winning, and they came close to winning in the Super 6. You have Niger Rattles that also performed very well.
Super 6.
They played in Super 6. We had Edo Queens. They couldn't participate because they won the last edition and were in the CAF Women's Championship, Club Championship. They also did very well in the course of the league. We have Bayelsa Queens that won. I think Bayelsa Queens came, is it second in the preseason tournament, and they ended up winning. Nasarawa Amazons also participated keenly and played extremely well. So all the teams that participated in the Super 6 did very well in the preseason tournament. So it has become a household name. Shiro's Cup has become a household name, which Rattles Sports Development Foundation has pioneered till this day. The next edition for the Shiro's Cup preseason tournament is billed to take place sometime in October, which would prepare the various clubs for the new season. So we've done this dispassionately, spending tons of millions to be able to host the various clubs. And I'm happy that we have been able to contribute our quota in this regard with the foundation.
Thank you so much, Chief Dr. Paul Edeh Esquire, of course, President, Chief FA Chairman, Benue State, and then the President of
The founder.
Founder of Niger Rattles and the Benue Queens, and also Rattles Foundation. Thank you so much for speaking with me on Sports Cruise on UTV Africa. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for having me.
That has been a wonderful conversation with Chief Dr. Paul Edeh, the chairman FA of Benue State, and also the founder of Rattles, Niger Rattles, and Benue Queens, and also Rattles Foundation. Sports Cruise with yours truly, Edeh Sunday on UTV Africa.